Yo, what's up? Make sure everybody's in the building though before we get started, man. How y'all doing today? Good people, my people. Hope you guys had a good Sunday so far. Waiting on some people to get into the panel real quick so we can see what's popping. Make sure the sound system and everything is up and running. Want to make sure everything is good to go. Anybody that's out there that want to get on the panel, just hit me up in the live chat room. And we can see if we can kind of, hey, we live.
Hello.
What's up? You going in and out. You on mute. Take it off mute. You went back on mute. Take it off mute.
Should be off mute.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I was just trying to wait till everybody get in. Try to send this link out real quick.
Is the lighting okay?
For the most part, I guess for the most part. Um, want to hit this and see if we good on Facebook. Yeah, so like if you're coming in off Facebook, you just gotta hit the link that I put up on my feed there, and then you'll go right into the video. You just press play, and you'll go right into the video. Yeah, so we good on Facebook. All right. But you need to put yours on mute. We can hear your chips crunching over there.
It's not chips, it's nuts.
Excuse me. But anyway, we definitely appreciate all you guys for tuning in, man. We're just trying to get a little bit more viewers to come on in. If you know anybody out there that is got a little time on their hands that really want to learn something today that's going to be beneficial to um, themselves and their relationships and the community as a whole. I think today would be a great opportunity to share the video, great opportunity to kind of just sit down and maybe just watch this while you're eating your Sunday deal. I know that the playoffs is on right now. Trust me, I love basketball myself, but some things are just a little bit more important. And talking about this issue, the power of the woman in the Black community, I definitely feel like is worth the conversation. And, we need to kind of draw some attention to what is actually going on in our society today, as in the suppression of the woman or what we call male supremacy, right? So this is not going to be a video that, all of the guys is going to appreciate me for. But at the end of the day, it's still truth, and truth has to be acknowledged. And we definitely need to start acknowledging the truth about our women and the importance that they have been and is currently is and will be for our future progression. And so without that, with all that being said, I definitely want to introduce my wife, Miss Nikosha. She's definitely going to come with her perspective. I'm kind of here just to kind of give a more of a historical context to uh, to the whole balance in the story as a whole, and then we'll allow her to kind of come in with her vantage point on things, and we'll go from there. Like I said, we have a live chat room, so feel free to chat with us while we're chatting. If we see a question or a concern that we definitely feel like needs to be addressed, we'll address it. I mean, this is what this forum is about. I'm trying to open up an open dialogue with people online so that we can kind of get some of the kinks out of the confusion, right? And kind of get a more of a universal and formatted understanding of how things really are. Truth can't really be debated. And when you look at all of the substantial institutions that we tend to subscribe to, a lot of times you got to ask yourself, if it was the truth, then why is there so many variations? Why is there so many, deviations of the one truth, right? Because if it's really true, it should not be debated. That one honest thing shouldn't be debated. And so what we're trying to do here is lay down truth so that we can hold on to it. And then we're also too trying to lay down a blueprint of what we can use moving forward, man. So with all that being said, Coach, you got anything you want to just add while we kind of wait on some viewers to come in?
No, not really. I'm just ready to go and get this started so we
I
can.
see you got a beautiful day
Excited.
behind you out there. You looking good outside out there, man.
Yeah, it feels great out here. The part of me
Good.
in the sun is warm, and the part of me that's in the shade is cold.
well, from a historical context, I definitely think that we lose the value of we can tend to lose the value of our females when we don't understand her historical value to our existence. Period. Right? Sometimes we tend to kind of tunnel vision everything, and we're kind of looking at what she did today, yesterday, what she said, whatever. But you don't really get the overall context of the power of the woman and just us being here and what has gotten us this far. Not only is she important with rearing us into the world, but just as important, she has allowed us to persevere to this point. And I'm gonna share my screen a little bit here and try to, get through a couple of these slides and just show you guys a little historical context here. Let's see, a little historical context of what I mean. When we're talking about uh, her her importance, and not just her importance to the existence of mankind, but her importance to the progression of the community of mankind. Sometimes we just like for her to just have the responsibility of birthing and nurturing, but she has a lot of experience in leading, in developing, in cultivating, right? Uh, the system that we are currently in and that we have been in. And thus far, we can't count her or um, respect the side of her that can lead, that can develop, that can create new systems, new way of living. Uh, these are also some attributes that she has shown throughout history that we can involve her in today so that we can be sure to know that she's okay if we allow her to lead, right? And that may be something that we may need to consider more now than ever before. And this is where I'm actually really going with this, because man got to first get his ego out of the way in order to allow this to even seep into his spirit. And then he has to understand that although you have not even wanted it to be like that, it really is already. Yeah, you are the head of the household, but she really doesn't. She knows every nick and cranny of the house. You don't really know where your socks at. So we just give you title, while at the same time she is the actual one leading and doing everything to make sure everything runs, right? So men like position, right? But women tend to can lead off influence. And although position is great, it can be influenced. So her being the influencer is the greatest of the attributes. But anyway, let's see if we can go to the slides. But you got anything to add before I go to the slides? You're on mute.
There you go. I agree with everything that you just said. Of course, I would agree with that. The importance of the woman in the home is goes just beyond just being there. It's a matter of all the things that she has to do, and she does them, number one, because it just comes natural, but number two, because she's leading things in that home as well. She's just leading things behind the scenes. So things as simple as the health of the family. She's the one that's buying the groceries. So when it comes to eating healthy, she's the one that's responsible for that, because the reality of it is the no one else in the home is grocery shopping. So whatever I buy is what we're gonna eat. So it's various little things that we don't look at that are taken for granted, but they are very important things, even when it comes down to just the most minute thing. Everything that the female does is important.
Yeah, I mean, that's true indeed. Everything is important. I don't think that it's highlighted as much as it needs to be. And on top of that, I don't think that men overall understand it, and I don't really believe that women overall understand the real essence of her role, her responsibility, and things of that nature. You got to think about it. Um, you know, 60, 50, 60, 70 years ago, you know, roles and responsibilities of the male and female were very defined. It was very easy to, be locked into what it is to be a man or a woman in those times. It was just understood that he was going to work, and it was understood that she was going to be the, home caretaker. And so it was very easy, you know what I mean? And it wasn't really too much um, role reversals or too much of none of that. And then you got to think about like just some type of some of the events that happened historically that kind of brought a point to where the roles got reversed. Now, if you think about that, when did the roles get reversed? 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Those roles of him working and her being the caretaker were really fixated in the homes of most couples, not just black, but whites and the whole nine. Um, and I would say war. War kind of made the roles get reversed because that thrust the women into the industrial sector. After World War II or something like that. So, and then men came home and now had to not only, you know, try to now they had to compete with the for jobs with their women.
The ones who actually came home, the ones who made it home. So for the ones
Exactly.
who make it
The ones
home,
who made it home now are back home and now have to compete with. So now you ain't got no home. When you do go home, your dinner not there, and um, so that's something new you didn't know nothing about. And now you got to compete with your old lady to get your job back, and she making more money than you. Now I say that to say this because I think that that's a big thing right there. And if that is the biggest thing, I think I told you the other day, when you take, so all a man knows is to provide, provide, provide. That's what we get beat in the head with coming up, right? So now, if provision is not our um, basic instinct, so to speak, if that's being taken away, and you guys are doing that, what is it left for us to do? So now you leave us confused on our natural instinct to do something. Once you take that away, that's a culture shock. That's a true shock to one's ego, to one's understanding of what he was supposed to do. Now we run into a woman that has a car, that has a house, that has the career, and she don't need that from you, and she may be blatant in letting you know that ain't what I need a man for. Now she tell you she may want you to be there emotionally and this, that, and the third, but that ain't what we were taught how to be. And so now we're left in a conundrum. Like, what do I do? And therefore, you have this thing called, where the successful black woman can't find a decent man. I think that has a lot to do with it. What's your take on it?
I definitely agree with that. My grandparents, I never saw my grandmother drive anywhere. And not only did she never drive anywhere, neither did my granddaddy's sister that lived, in Louisiana not too far. So every week or twice a week, it's been so long I can't remember, but we would pack up and go to the grocery store. He would go pick up my great aunt, and my grandfather would take my grandmother to the grocery store. She drive. I have to assume. I mean, she died when I was around 8 or 10 or something, but I have to assume she never had a driver's license because for what? He did all the driving, and he worked when I was really little, and she did some little odds and ends, I guess, and baked and all that kind of stuff. But she never drove anywhere. Is the point? But she was a major factor in the home because she cooked. She cleaned, and even though it's not like they were, oh, one person's running the other, but no decision went made without her being a part of that decision. But she never was negative or tried to, be ugly or the whole 9 yards. So I think that the roles did change from that, which has caused us to be in the place that we are now. Because my mother, I mean, she was a single mom, but she was married before, but she also worked. And that generation came through with mine. This is my money, and I don't need you for this, and I don't need you for that. So that power that she did have, in a sense, a lot of times women to use that against the other party. So that will make that male's ego drop, which then leads to the issue of the unappreciation, the disrespect of the females. I think that's kind of when females started becoming bitches every 5 minutes because I never heard my grandparents using that term and any of their sisters and brothers in the whole 9 yards. Now in this generation, it's used all the time. And it's just that's where the I think the disrespect came was out of the ego. So it definitely changes the face of how things are. And so then you have a generation of people having babies, and these babies are seeing how things are in the home, which is just pushing the pattern generation after generation after generation.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a perpetual cycle. And I think that what we're trying to do here as a as just people of the community of which we are linked to, we're trying to provide some type of solace, some type of solution, some type of easement or peace to what has happened to us conditionally, right? I've always been a big understander of social engineering, right? And we're not acting natural because we're not uh, in our natural habitat to act natural. We're being socially engineered to think and to do some of the things that we're doing without even understanding it. And we're so socially engineered that we look at this uh, fake environment as if it was real. You remember the movie with Jim Carrey? I forgot what movie that was when they put him in that fake environment since he was a baby and he
Oh, the
grew up.
Truman Show.
Yeah, and he grew up thinking that that environment was real until it just clicked. That hey, I've been looking at the same thing every day, all day, and I have not ever been able to see who I really am if this is how the conditions have been, right? And so then that became the biggest motive was to get out and be free and see who he really was, right? There was nothing else in that world that they could show him or that they could do for him to dumb down the desire to get out of that. And that's what we got to do. We have to fight like hell to get out of the fake understandings that we have been conditioned to be under because we're reacting and we're acting in this bubble unnaturally, calling it natural acts and calling it natural reactions and calling it what I'm supposed to do and how it's supposed to be. And that is not correct. This is not how it's supposed to be. And we have to acknowledge that and then have the moxie to change it. And that's the environment that we're trying to create. The fact that we have to acknowledge that this is not the way it's supposed to be. And then you have to have the fortitude, the desire, the want to want to change, right? To want to change it. And I think that we can do that. And it first has to start with how we change how we view our woman, the female species. And that is where I want to start at. And it's also going to be a series where we're going to come out with about the power of the man in the black community. But I definitely felt that this was something that we definitely need to go down. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the slideshow real quick and just try to jump on into it really quick here. See if I can share my screen here. You guys, let me know if you can see this.
I can see it.
All right. All right. The power of the woman in the black community, right? And what we want to do is we're just highlighting historically her power from every angle of community, her power from every, not just her power to persuade you and her power to cook and her power to clean and her power to tend to your little needs, man. But we're talking about her power to progress a generation, her power to progress a people, her power to progress creation itself. You know what I mean? And we really need to highlight this because we're running into a new age, right? And I want to say this real quick. We're running into this new age. When we first started life, women ruled. And it doesn't matter which text you go to, doesn't matter which continent you land on, you're going to run into a heavy dose of woman leadership in the historical contexts, right? In the historical texts, you're going to run into a lot of matrilineal rulage, right? Nubia, Egypt, even further than Nubia, if you want to go back into Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, you're going to run into a heavily matrilineal rulage. Women ruled. And then at some point, the patrilineal age began to happen where men ruled. And we're still in that context, but we're shifting. I believe it to be another shift happening back to the women ruling. But until that happens, there's going to be a heavy suppression of the woman before that happens, right? Because it's the age old battle. But I'm trying to get you to understand that you don't have to compete with the woman because her success in the black community, her success is your success, brother. So you got to look at our women. They have never, ever left us. They have been more faithful to us than we have been to them. There are more black men marrying outside of the race than black women. So when we see this, we see that her faithfulness to us has been what has progressed us throughout the years and the ages. Even when it came down to slavery, she took over and was well suited to take over, right? And when I'm talking about the war, right after World War II and after World War II, when you went off and done all that stuff and came back, and she had to go to work and to make bullets for the war. But at the same time, when you came back, she still has not left you because of her economic achievements. Matter of fact, she's taken hold on to your situation and still has taken care of you. And so we don't need to be in a situation where we are disrespecting the bond that keeps us all together. We don't need to keep on trying to submit the true leader, the true queen of our existence. You call the Son the Father, you call the God the Father, which you haven't seen, but you call the earth, which you have seen, the mother. So it's kind of ironic that the Father is still the Father, but he still disappears somewhere. You can't find him. But Mama right here still with you, tangible enough for you to know she's there. So understand the power of the woman. But more importantly, understand the power of the woman in the Black community, because she truly is the Black God. Now, here are just a few women in our history that have made substantial accomplishments and achievements to the advancement of the Black community. England's first Black queen. If you didn't ever think that England had a queen, or if you didn't ever think that Black people were in Europe, there you go. Sophie Charlotte. She was England's first Black queen. Then the real warrior queen of West Africa, northern Nigeria, was Queen Amina, or some may call her Queen Amanuta or Amanatu. She was warrior queen, one of the first warrior queens. Now this is, I wanted you to see royalty, royal power. That not only these, you can't just be a queen and not be ready for battle and not be ready for the educational system or the financial system or the political system. These women already know how to roll out systems and how to maintain systems. Just something for you to consider, the power of the woman in the Black community. Now, as we move on, these are some more great African warrior princesses. That's still Queen Amanutu on the left there with the sword swinging. She got her somebody down. See how she fighting? So all the time when we're sitting here thinking that our woman is weak and that, you know, we can just beat on them physically, mentally, emotionally, we better be careful. Because in every woman, there's a great queen, Amina. There's a great Queen Amina. And it's time for her to even remember that she got her in her. But it's time out for men to continue to oppose her. If we get with our great warrior princesses, who we now understand that can maintain systems and create systems and roll out systems as being the queens of countries and lands and kingdoms, why she got to be under our rule if she is the better ruler? If she may be the better leader, why we can't allow her to lead? Especially in the Black community, when she's pretty much has been the proven leader thus far, the proven maintainer thus far. And then we all know Sekhmet, the one and only, the true goddess. The one goddess that has been depicted as female goddess with the head of a lion, the first woman ever depicted in a masculine way in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Sekhmet also was one of the first sun goddesses. And for some of you Christians out there, for some of you sun worshipers, I want you guys to understand something. In the beginning, in the most earliest of civilizations, the sun was drawn in a female deity. What I mean by that is that it was seen as a sun goddess before it was seen as a sun god. Sekhmet and Hathor and Hatshepsut were some of the first women depicted as sun goddesses, way before Ra and Ptah and Jesus, way before you gave the sun god the masculine or patriarchal symbology. You first gave it the female symbology. But you got anything to add to
that? I'm enjoying. Keep going.
All right. Well, yeah. Anyway, so understand that, right? She's a great African warrior, princess slash goddess. And the reason why I put that slash goddess there, but because I wanted to stipulate something here, and this is something very important too, because I know men are aggressive. And just because she may be aggressive, just because you may run into aggressive women, get this understanding, men, does not mean that you have to be intimidated and that you have to abuse her. All right? Aggression is the warrior princess in her, fighting for the right to lead, to be heard, and to be relevant in the situation that you call the relationship, brother. And now some of these warrior princesses are going to lean toward aggression more than laid back and being passive, because that's all she's been had to use to get through life. But never underestimate that just because she is a warrior princess, that she is not a goddess. Because just as equally as she is a warrior, she is actually also too loving, nurturing, and kind. And so I made that distinction to let you know that she's the perfect balance of warrior and goddess. Huh?
I think that's a really good point to make, because, you know, you have females that a lot of guys, you know, they'll say, oh, all she do is fight and, you know, talk lip or whatever. Now that female needs to find the goddess in her, because that doesn't mean that you are just cutting tires and cutting people and all of that for no apparent reason. So it's one of those things where, you know, that female that is so, you know, buck, as we used to call it back in the day, has to find that goddess side of her, which is self-control, which is knowing the proper battle to fight. And so then you have the other female that's more reserved, which is seen as the weaker female, who oftentimes is seen as more submissive, seen as, you know, you can just run over her because she doesn't say much, because she is quiet. But you still have to realize as well that that same female is also a goddess. And that same female has that same warrior in her. And the reality of it is that she has to learn to be a little bit more open, because all of her quietness and submissiveness rolls all of her warrior into one big ball. And so eventually it gets unleashed. And as much as she is so strong to hold it in, she's even stronger on the other end to not be able to contain that at a certain point in life. And when it's unleashing a wrath of hell. So that female goddess has to then also learn her own inner being and work on herself as well. So you got two different types of black females that have all of these warrior, what do you call it, characteristics within them, but are not showing them or practicing them in the right way, which oftentimes causes a lot of negativity in people's relationships because
Well,
she
well,
got too much she putting out there or she ain't putting enough. And it's like you've got to learn it and learn how to control it, how to exhibit it so that the battles are being fought in our community.
exactly. I mean, again, we go back to social engineering, right? Excuse me. What people don't know, they can't. There's nothing you can do. Um, so yes, that goes back to learning. Goes back to researching yourself, knowing thyself, right? Having an earnestness to want to know more about who you are, your existence. But when we're being socially engineered, sometimes we can be socially engineered to only be warrior princesses, or we can be socially engineered to only be goddesses, right? And you got to think about that for a minute. Think about what some of the institutions that we go to, think about what is the image that it's trying to make us be. Either you're going to go to some stuff that's going to make you overly feminine or overly masculine, right? Men tend to go to more things that keep them more masculine, right? You go to sports, you go to this, you go to that. You don't really balance yourself out and go to the ballets and the plays and the this and the that because that ain't really what you want to do. You tend to lean more toward what you're socially engineered to lean more toward. So when we're looking at that in the female aspect of the goddess, you're either going to get them so goddess that they can't tap into any warriorship, right? Any type of leadership, fighting for your rights, any type of fighting back for the feminine power, the irrelevancy of the feminine energy. They'll just let the man and his male ego run over the whole situation as if that is how it's supposed to be. And then you'll have some of the females that'll be too rah, too aggressive, too no, you're not gonna roll over me. Two, no, I'm going to show you I got some relevance. Two, I'm going to compete with you in every aspect of leadership and let you know that if it ain't right, I'm going to let you know. And so they've been socially engineered to take control of their own situation and be very skeptical and critical to every decision that the brother make outside of their mind, right? And so these things are social engineering is causing a lot of what we're going through because we'll continue. See, when I say social engineering, I'm on this social media right now, right? Facebook is one of the biggest social engineering sites. Facebook, because it is constantly pushing out stuff close to what it thinks you may want to watch. So it continues to engineer you psychological wise to continue to delve into these energies. See, it's not going to let up off of if you like negative videos, the negative this, the negative that, you'll continue to keep feeding yourself those things. There's always going to be a place for you to go for that stuff. And this is what we call social engineering. So when we get back to the woman itself, we got to understand that we have to now understand that we are not thinking of our roles and responsibilities in the way we should because of this social engineering. We got to start listening to things that get us out of that. And that's why I like the Egypt text. You know, one thing you said, babe, which I really love, is you're talking about balance. Now, how can we bring balance back into a social engineered consciousness, right? And the great thing about balance is that we got somebody called Maat, right? Maat, Maat from the Egyptian text that is the epitome of truth and balance. She's the one that brings it back into context, right? She's the one that balances you out. And you have these 42 laws of how to live in a harmonious and peaceful state within nature. This is where we get the 10 commandments come from, these ancient Egyptian texts, right? And so you got these 42 laws that are called the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. And it tells you about how to live in a more balanced and harmonious understanding of who you are and what you bring to the table of the land of the living, not necessarily just for your own personal benefit, which we still get personal gain from it when we think in a communal way of living. Now, communal. Good that I said communal, because when we're talking about women in the sisterhood of the woman, when we're talking about early civilizations where women ruled, there's always been more women than men. In any species on earth, if there's not more of the female species, then there won't be too much of that species left, right? And this goes for ants, fishes, whatever insect, animal you want. It has to be more female species in order to progress the species. In order to progress the species, right? So more females is not such a bad thing, right? And these sisterhoods they used to create sisterhoods out of these women ruled countries and continents and eras. And these sisterhoods used to promote communal living at its highest degree, because communal living had everybody connected so much so to nature and to the understanding of oneness, right? That they benefited so much and they could communicate, telekinetic wise. They could sense and they could sync up together, which is a whole nother thing of today, how women can still sync up their periods, right? Because the connection, being around each other for a particular time allows them to almost mutate, right? And almost mutate and adapt and sync up biologically to one another. This is a technique that they were able to dispel in the sisterhood in the early communities. She could get systems. See, when you can link up that much, you got to think about the Bible story. You know, they always said about the wailing women, right? Why you always got to have wailing women? Why did God honor the mother's prayer, right? Wailing women. What was the whole significance behind that? Because there was a sense of syncing up. And that syncing up was more energy being into something. Coming from the female, she give life. So her earnestness over life and about life was more pure than anything else, because she's the absolute lover of life, because she is the giver of life. So wouldn't it be feasible to understand that her care, her worry about life was valued more, being the mother of it? So you got to understand the value that we have here in the woman species as a whole. But furthermore, what it has done and what it can do for the Black community. But yes, you're right. She has to value herself. Yes, you're right. She has to understand her powers. Yes, you're right. She has to do more research to know herself. Yes, you're right. She does have to understand her limitations. But that does not mean that we have to not give it to her based on our own egotistical understanding. We have to give her the truth. Let her know how special she is. She does not just belong in your kitchen and cleaning your house. She can lead your nation. And I want to share my screen again and go back to some more of these beautiful people who have done these things, so that you can continue to see her all throughout your history, leading you when you was not leading you. Gonna show it to you now. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, all right, all right. See what we got next on this thing. Taking you some more great political powers in the woman, right? Look how powerful this woman is, man. This woman can mutate, man, and go from battling you on the battlefield in a warrior suit with a sword on, killing you, and then she can go in there and debate you all at the same time. You know, then you got Shirley Chisholm right here, and you got Mary Bethune. Y'all don't know nothing about her. You know, these are great educators as well as great political people. And there she go again, taking you off of the battlefield of Egypt and Africa and in Europe, right? Then she take you out for the slavery fields when you're talking about Harriet Tubman and all these people. Then she leading you right on into the government and continue to progress you. Even when they don't let you in, she is continuing to progress you, black man. She's never ever left you because you are her child, you are her seed. Her success has truly been your success. Okay? Let's move on. So she has great political power. And not only that, she has great entrepreneurial power. On the left, you have Madam C.J. Walker. Look, man, y'all need to share this with your babies, man. You know, share this with your babies, share this with your kids, share this inside of your relationships, man. What I'm telling you, I'm telling you, you know, this is what we need. I know we like listening about Christ Jesus a lot, and trust me, that's a good read at some time. But this is the information we truly need to commit to and to dedicate to being pure and true and faithful and respectful and loving to ourselves enough to know that we are great in every facet. And we need to lead by example. Madam C.J. Walker, great entrepreneurial mind. But a lot of people don't know right next to her. As when she came in with hair care products, Lita Newman, Lita D. Newman was the first sister to come up with a synthetic hairbrush to piggyback off of Madam C.J. Walker's inventions. So they just kept it rolling. One no harm, one no foul. All right, you came out with stuff for the hair. I know they gotta have more than that. So she came out with the first synthetic hairbrush. So now you got hot comb, hairbrush, you got grease. Keep the ball rolling. But women did that. So not only are they warriors, and not only are they political, they also have a sense of business and finance. All right? You see where I'm going with this? Want y'all to get this understanding. The power of the woman in the black community. What else can she do? Well, she also got social powers. Even when the odds were against all of us, and even when her her payment of bucking the system was just as bad as our payment, she would get done even worse than us. Yes, they would lynch us and beat us, and she would get raped and beat the same way or even worse. But she still never folded under the context of what was going on. She was just as much as on that battlefield, if it's not more than the brother himself. This is the power of the woman in the black community. So to your left, you see Ruby Bridges. At 6 years old, this baby was the first baby, African-American baby, to integrate the elementary school in Louisiana. Ruby Bridges. At 6 years old, all she got around her white folk. Now, How scared you think that woman really is? How scared you think that baby probably was? That when she showed up to school, there's a whole bunch of white folk after all she done seen on news and what she done seen going on in her society. Do you think that was the best first day of school for her? Because she didn't go to school for herself. If you would have asked Ruby, did she want to go to school, she probably would have told you hell to the no. But Ruby knew that she was going to school for more than herself because this is the power of the woman in the Black community. She knows that I'm doing this for my babies down the road. Just like Harriet Tubman and just like the women that came into your steed when you went out to fight this white man's war in the world war. She stepped in your steed knowing that it's going to benefit us down the road. Shirley Chisholm knew that she might not have got elected, but I know it'll benefit us down the road. Fannie Lou Hamer, to your right, another brilliant civil rights activist, fought for the right to vote in Mississippi. We need more Fannie Lou Hamers. We need more Ruby Bridges. And even up to this day, we still have great women leading great movements. When you're looking at Marsha P. Johnson and Audre Lorde, people who are leading the LGBTQ community. And when you're talking about Zaza Ali, who's heading up the Black Lives Matter movement, these are power of the woman in the Black community. These are the women that we need to understand continue to progress us as a Black race. There is no space, no time to beat on her, to cheat on her, to manipulate her, to defraud her, as while her faith has been so faithful to you in this time. Brother, there is no need. It's a time to cultivate what's best in you. And what's best in you is her. The best part of the man is the Black woman. I say that again. The best part of a Black man is a Black woman. We don't need to continue to play the patriarchal game that got us in this mess in the first place. We need to go back to our matrilineal ways that continue to progress us, continue to push us forward. We need to go back to understanding and relying and depending on the woman to do more for us than just what we've submitted her to do. We've been socially engineered to think that all she's relegated to is the kitchen and rearing children. And although rearing children is a great, great aspect to progression of the Black community, she's also a maintainer and a creator within that community outside of just child rearing. She has business savvy and political fortitude. She has educational strategy and agricultural findings. But you can't understand her value if you are intimidated by her. I'm gonna go on and say that. Uh-oh, I'm getting on somebody's nerve then. You will never ever respect her and reverence her in the way that this video is suggesting because of your ego and because of your competitive nature and because you don't know yourself and what you will do or can do when she does do these things. So you selfishly, because you don't want to find out or figure out what else you're supposed to do, you will selfishly keep this from her. You will selfishly dismiss these truths. And that's the travesty of male supremacy. But that cannot work in the Black community. Your take on that, Coach?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Um, Women have got to be respected on a different level. Women have to be seen as more than just homemakers, meaning cooking and cleaning. Um, but women have to also do a better job at raising our children, boys and girls, to believe that fact as well. Women are now, and have been for some years raising their daughters to be these homemakers. And even those who raise their daughters to go to college and have your own, it's still limited. It's have your own, but then get you a husband and make sure you're cooking and you're cleaning and you're doing all of that, and that's it, the end, you know? So we definitely have to get everybody to a point where we are supporting our women, and men are not being intimidated by what she can do, whether it's making more money or just making more moves. We've got to stop looking at things as a competitive factor and look at it as a partnership. Um, Women are easy to have this desire and passion for one thing, but at the same time, we're so mothering and nurturing that the moment you see that his ego is, sliding to the left a little bit, oh, well, I don't want him to feel bad. So let me just bring my power back down 2 or 3 notches. You got to stop doing that, because his power and his strength is only going to be fed by yours. And if you don't reach your potential and your max, you can't even make the moves to happen for anything else in your household to be powerful. We're beyond the day of, okay, the man just leads and you follow. For women that go to church and, they're really religious, well, most of the time you just see them in church by themselves. You don't see their husbands there. But you have to lead. And if you were exhibiting that power, if that is was the right way to go, you would have been able to show him. We oftentimes wait on the man, head of household. It's on paper. It goes back to those messages that you were talking about. On paper it says head of household. That's the male. That's how everything is just looked at. And women, we look at it the same way. That's what we've been taught, and that's how we've been, to be submissive. And again, these are all things that are coming from under the biblical sense. But we've got to look beyond that. We've got to look before that. The slide that you showed is showing women surpassing that time frame way before we, got to the biblical figures, the few that they speak of. We had Black queens and empresses and goddesses and the whole 9 yards that were making moves and making this world to be what it is today. So where is that power? We have so much power inside of us that we don't even know. We can think something so long, meditate on something so long, and make moves. You spoke of wailing women. They weren't just wailing, they were making something happen. They were actually wailing and making spiritual things happen. Now, of course, over time, where did those things go? Those things went into a Western world that started saying that was witchery, or that was, evil and the whole 9 yards. But we need to get back to that point where we can make things happen. We can shape things to be so much better than where they are. Political power. We in a world with a president that ain't worth shit. We have the potential to move him right up out that door. But because we're not all together and honing into that potential, He's just still sitting up there, you know. So we've got to get back to where we're supposed to be and find inner strength within you, which is not that hard to find. It's just a matter of exhibiting it. Every female feels it. You feel that power. But I think that it's great to show, you know, those slides of so many different women, because although you may feel something, you may not even know some of these great people and what they've done. Why? Because it's been hindered and hidden as if they are nothing. But we've definitely got to continue to.
I wanna I wanna show something right. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. I like what you hit on there when you're talking about uh uh power. You know what I mean? Like uh it just really made sense to me just then. Uh, what power is, you know, what it needs to be, how we need to look at it, and you really kind of made sense there. And I just want to get this thing right real quick before we bear with me 1 second here. All right, no, not that one. All
Now,
right, so do everybody see that?
yes, the definition of power.
Yeah. So now your power setting was the ability to do something, right? Or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or a quality, right? So I like that the capacity or the ability to direct or influence the behavior of others. Remember earlier I said that women are ruled by influence. They are great influencers. Men rule by position. Men need a title. Men need to have the title of being something, but that don't necessarily mean they the one doing it. Like Bill Clinton was the president, but Hillary Clinton really was running it. Even down to Obama was the president, but Michelle was the one running the country, right? So you know, that's that old philosophy. So what I'm saying is that that's their power. They are great influencers, and they have the ability to do something. We got to understand that. That's what power means. A woman's power, woman's quality, and her ability to do something or act in a particular way, and her influence. Her power is her influence. That is what I wanted you to see. I wanted you to understand that whole dichotomy. All right, you go ahead, go back.
And you're right when you speak of talking about that influence, because a lot of us don't even and realize the power that you have. And I've been one of those people in my life not even realizing it, because it's so natural that it's like it's nothing. You don't appreciate your own gift. So in other words, you know, people, females will come to me for advice all the time and will take my advice and use it to their benefit. And I never really thought about that in those terms. I just thought of that as people always asking me for advice. Okay. And I give it, but never thinking of the significance of the fact that you've helped someone. You know, I've literally had people to thank me for the help I've given them. I just had someone write me the sweetest, you know, she gave me a book and wrote the sweetest message in it. And just from conversations with her, I wouldn't have thought that it had that much of an impact on her with just the things that I've said. For me, it's just that's normal. But she slides a coloring book under my door, African coloring book, something that I wanted that I ain't thought twice about that I said. And here it is. She bought one just for me and writes this, inscription in it that literally brought me to tears because it's like, wow, you don't think about things like that. I'm just telling you what is just coming natural to me. So my point is that that has happened so often. And I know I'm not the only female that has what is considered a gift of counsel. And so if you have that with the average person and you have that influence, you're looking at it as something that's so minute, but it's not
Now
because
you said the gift of counselor. Now, one didn't we read about God being the wonderful counselor?
yep.
Oh, okay. Let's keep going. I just want to add that in there. Go ahead.
But it's like it's just crazy because you have that gift and you don't think twice. It's the gift of leading. When I think about the Harriet Tubmans, the women that she pulled out of slavery, it wasn't just she just woke them up and said, "Okay, come on, girl, let's go." She actually was in the woods somewhere talking to some folks and saying her gifts of counsel basically to influence them to come on and let's go to a better place. So many different people, who are in office. Here in Georgia, we don't really have some of the little smaller positions they have in, say, like New York, where we have some commissioners, but they have, I can't think of what you call it, but not a councilwoman. There alder women or something. I've seen in other states. Well, even those positions, they may be small, but those people, those women that do hold them, have held some authority and some knowledge in their community to get someone to put them to that point. The person, whatever female is, you have these different groups, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You know, they may not necessarily be a black group, but that's a female that had some authority and some influence to cause other women to say, let's come together and formulate this. So oftentimes we take our own, that's the point, is we take our own, influential power for granted and could do so much more or could have done so much more if we would have thought about that years before. And it's not too late. I mean, you can be
But
55, it is still not too late, but don't waste no more time. Go ahead and do it.
I mean, that's what the man is there for. See, the man is there to, okay, so when you say, well, oh, how can she now begin to progress that influence or learn about that influence and progress it? Then that's kind of where the man comes in there. There's an old scientific study that says that, if there truly was Amazon women, that the Amazon women could literally, based on their telekinetic powers, their mental powers, they could pretty much uh, uh, conceive baby from thought, right? Well, not necessarily conceive it from thought, but at least change the gender of the baby with thought, right? I heard that somewhere in the study that just based on where you're at mentally, you can change the gender of your baby from it probably was going to be a girl to it being a boy. All babies start out as female anyway, but um, you got to understand the criticalness of that mental power. So now when we're talking about influence, right? Things that she don't know, or maybe how can she influence us in a way to progress the community more like as she had always have been. It's what, as the brother, what are we putting into her mental that she can create from, right? So now here's the thing I'm saying. If she has the power to create just from mental,
Mm-hmm.
what is going into her mental? So now, as a brother, we got to watch what we saying to her. We got to watch what they saying to her. That's where you come in and protect what goes in and out of the her learning capsules, her eyes, what she see, her ears, what she hear, right? Because everything goes in, she can incubate those things and create something more, right? Because what goes in her, she gives it back out into the generation. So you keep putting evil in her, she gonna give you back some evil children. If you keep putting evil thoughts in her, she gonna give you back an evil deed. So here's the thing: if she can only influence from information, whatever her level of information is her level of influence. If she don't know nothing, she gonna influence you on a know nothing level. If she do know something, she gonna influence you on that level. Nobody can influence you without the information. So it's all about what we are putting in her. What I mean by that is we do have some responsibility of what her measurement is up to how we feel as her companion here. Now, here's this. I'm not saying that it necessarily quantifies everything she has to be, is that you got to be waiting on what he think about you. But I'm saying that in the fact that just like she can destroy him, he can destroy her by not acknowledging her relevance and her true essence and her true power, the capacity of her power, right? If you keep knocking it down, if you keep criticizing it, if you keep not acknowledging that it's five, that is, man, how you do that, baby? How you know that, baby? It's just like with a man, right? We go and we'll buy some food, but she's the one who makes a meal out of it, not you. You don't sit there and create all of those ingredients and make a meal. You just bought it. You see what I'm saying? So it's those things. It's those things that what I'm trying to say to you that makes her just as irrelevant. So just because you went out and you worked for the money and you bought the house, it, only the woman made it a home though. You see what I'm saying? You just bought a house, but it ain't no home. She made the home. You bought the food, she made the meal. So what I'm saying is it's an equal distribution of energy and relevance to the situation to where nobody should have the right to submit anybody. You just got to acknowledge it, make room for her relevance, make room for her opinions, make room for her leadership, make room for everything that she brings to the table because she can do it just as much as you can. We shouldn't fight for anything. If the goal is to progress our people, if the goal is to progress the relationship, if the goal is to progress the generations under us, then what are we fighting for?
Right.
What are we fighting for if we're mad at who mouth it comes out of? Well, it ain't of God because she said it. Boy, we gonna lose if she leading.
Yeah, it's a
Men has been leading the whole time and we've been losing. So what I'm saying is we have to understand that there's a shift that is happening. And when we were in the best position as a black community, our women were in leadership. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's just a matter of support. You know, women want to feel supported. Women want to feel appreciated and respected. And even the woman who feels she has the most power, you can take that power away from her by making her feel low, by saying something mean or negative or whatever. Because at the end of the day, despite the strength, women still have the emotional side as well. So no one's saying you got to hit cartwheels, but if you say say something negative or act negatively, sarcastically or whatever the negative thing is that you do, you can literally take her from being 100% happy to dropping down to 50% because of
The energy. It's the
that
energy.
that energy.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it's almost like a self-esteem breaker in a sense,
Hmm.
goes back to being less less strong and more vulnerable or more submissive is the word. And she then does not exhibit anything positive at that point.
And that's why this is so important, babe. I ain't mean to cut you off, but that's why this information is so important to understand the relevance of the man now. Because see, a man gonna go back and be like, okay, if she everything that they talking about, then what is my relevance? What am I to do? And these are some of the things that the brother have to learn how to do. Learn about himself. He got to learn how to keep his energy up in order to keep her energy up, right? You can't. You got to know that she's an incubator of energy. So when you put that energy in her, it incubates, and then it comes out of her in twofold, triple fold, whatever it is. So you don't want that, right? So what I'm saying is when you abuse her mentally, when you abuse her with words, or when you cut her at the knees of her accomplishments and her value, you actually are doing yourself a distrust because, like I said, if she's the best part of you, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you do that to the best part of yourself? You see what I'm saying? So we
Right.
have to be careful about what we saying to our women. I promise you that if we take better care, responsible care of what goes in her ear, and if she does the same, then you will see and what I'm talking about when we're talking about these great people and these great people being in the disguise of the woman body, right? They are great, but we got to continue to let them know that they're great beyond just the basic things that we've been socially engineered to conceive her as. She has way much to offer, and we got way more to offer her than just being providers. We can provide some emotional, and this is what this is about. When you're talking about energy, when brother come home, bring your energy down, that's that emotional balance that brother need to learn about. Because when you're dealing with these women, and especially if you're gonna be married to them and be in a relationship with them, and everybody start cutting off their friends, that's what the sisterhood is supposed to be about. Girls, stop bickering with one another because emotionally, y'all supposed to be there with each other, right? And you're supposed to be there to be that part of everything. But the brother also supposed to know and have some kind of ability to also understand his emotional strength and energy inside that relationship. He also has to be strong spiritually too, to be able to handle that capacity of the individual. You ain't got to be the person's pastor and you ain't got to be the person's therapist, but what else are you gonna be if you the man?
Hmm.
And if she's already the provider, and if she's already, can do this and can do that and can do that, all right. If she's already got her own home, got her own crib, got her own car, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you can't sit there and tell her, baby, you the shit. Yeah, you can't sit there and tell her, go ahead then, Black Queen. Yeah, you can't sit there and let her know that she's great, she's the greatest thing smoking. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. If that's all she needs, you can't do that. No, but see what you did is because she done all that, you stayed in there telling me some she thinks she all that. Oh man, she
Yeah.
trying to make me out to be old house mom, bro. I ain't with all that, bro. I ain't you crazy, man. Now you know what, man? I'm gonna go out here and see old Shamika. Shamika need me to get her a house and the car and the crib. Right, right. And you gonna go over there to Shamika and try to do anything by any means necessary because you don't have the knowledge necessary to get all that yet. And you go out and take a penitential chance, and now you locked up. And Shamika just went on to the next dumb brother that didn't know how to be something else outside of the provider. And what happens is you tend to see a lot of women who know who they are getting with dumb brothers because they're brothers who are needing to really learn the other dimensions. A brother got to be multidimensional. You got to be dynamic, brother. Sisters are they're all over the place. They learn all kinds of stuff. So you have to be more multidimensional to hold that all in, right? To be able to actually entertain all areas, and not only entertain them, but entertain them from some sense of expertise or leadership in some categories. So then learn how to be an emotional creature. You men are already the most emotional guys anyway. I don't even know why we even playing like that. But we need to learn how to be more emotional to our females, right? Not be more feminine, be more emotional caretakers of their emotions. You got to be more empathetic and sympathetic to how your woman is understanding things, right? And on a spiritual content, when we're talking about the spiritual aspect of things, learn more than just some of your little Sasquatch theories. Go deeper into meditation and prayer life and things of that nature so that you can come up with great unearthings and findings and journeys to take you and her on, right? As a spiritual couple, as you've been the spiritual leader. You know, those are things that very much intrigue the woman, right? Because remember, she's a captain of the mental powers. So when you come in with spiritual things, that is definitely a plus for the woman. So it's not all about your acclimate on what you can earn, but also too we have to kind of mutate into these other creatures so that we can really big up the woman. Like I said, if she's the best part of you, it's time for you to understand how that works so that you can be the best part of her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. It's just a unit, but something I wanted to put out there that I thought about. You mentioned before, you mentioned sisterhood again, and I just wanted to say, when you were briefly talking about that, there is no such thing as women can't get along. I don't know who made that up, but I have some friendships, one in particular that spans over 30 years. And I have never had not one argument or altercation with my best friend. And although now that we are older, we don't see each other all the time, we talk, but I can't even remember the last time that we actually hung out, which I know was a good over a couple of years. But when we were younger, as little kids and as younger adults, we hung together all the time. We went from kindergarten through high school together and graduated. We were together at school, we were together outside of school. We were together during college age years. We went to two different colleges, but best believe when we both came home, we hung out and we talked on the phone all the time when we were away. When we finished college, we were still close and hanging all the time. So we never had an argument, never had an altercation. I have some other female friends, never had an argument, never had an altercation. And then females that I've come into contact with in my life, I don't have conflict with. So I don't understand when it comes down to it, when people say, oh, females can't get along. There have been some females or two on some jobs I've had that I know they have an issue with me for who knows, God only knows what reason. But even knowing that they have an issue with me, guess what? We got along just fine. Why? Because I'm still not going to treat you any different. You have a personal issue for whatever reason, but that doesn't mean that we can't get along. So when I hear, females speak of, oh, I only get along with guys, I just can't get along with females. In most of those cases, just to be real, it ain't the females you can't get along with. It's you. You're the problem. It's not the females that's the problem. It's you that needs to check yourself and get yourself together because there's no reason in this world why you can't get along with your own self. That other female is yourself. That other female is your sister, your cousin, your mama, whoever. So, how do you have a problem with what you see in the mirror? How do you have a problem with what bore you into this world? I think that's just an excuse that people have made, and some people were taught females are messy. So, because of that, you go into it with an automatic stigma or automatic stereotype of, oh, I'm not going to be able to deal with this person just because it's a female. We need to kill that. So there's no reason, but yet some of these same people they join sororities. A sorority is nothing but a
A
sister.
sisterhood.
That's all a sorority is. Because half the people, over half of the people in a sorority, they already got sisters. So obviously, you joining into something and being able to be okay with it, then you're okay with being around a bunch of females. So I just wish that females would stop with that stigma that, they're allowing to be placed on us and stop saying, oh, you can't deal with another female, but yet everybody runs around trying to use the term sisterhood, but instead, when it comes down to it, when this one walks by, or you mad about the promotion she got, or you're mad about the outfit she has on. When I got my last promotion, it was a certain person that had some negative things to say about that. She felt like she should have got that over me because she felt like she trained me, which I'm still confused on when and where. But okay, that's fine. I could have easily been that person to go and confront and say whatever, but for what? For what? At the end of the day, gave her hugs and kept it moving. Never repeated what somebody else told me you said. I know you said it because I know how you talk, but it's not that serious. But I'm going to congratulate you and encourage you, despite the fact that we ran the same race and I came in first. I'm not going to throw that up in your face. I don't even think I even really cracked a smile from getting the promotion. But I still encourage that person who saw me as an enemy. I still encourage that person to continue to strive for that position if that's what you want. I encourage people to strive for things bigger and better than me. The one or two friends I have that are younger than me, I encourage them all the time, be better than me at your age. Not I'm going to turn my lip up at you because you're doing something or you've got this or you've got that. I got friends that got houses before me. I have a friend that got married before me. I have a friend that wakes two friends that make way more money than me. You think I was sitting there, complaining or cutting my eyes at them because of what they have? No. Girl, I'm so happy for you. Like, continue to strive. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's anything I
Well,
help you continue to strive, hey, I'm right there with it, whether you're my friend or whether you're not. And that's
well,
to get better on.
well. Again, it goes back to social engineering. So you're living in a capitalistic society that promotes um, this type of competitiveness edge. You have to have this type of edge, and it's by any means necessary. It's the crab in the barrel theory, right? And that's why I'm saying again, this power of the woman. Women had a communal. When you're talking about a matrilineal system, it was more communal living. It was all for one and one for all kind of philosophy, and everything was connected. Everything was interconnected. It was almost like the internet. You never left out of the nurturing and loving and the abundance of the community. And women, even in relationships, when we're talking about competitiveness, you're competing for jobs, you're competing for your man. They talking about y'all are 12 to 1. And since you don't understand that philosophy that it gotta be more women to progress the race, you thinking it ain't enough men. And because also too, you've been socially engineered to think that you're supposed to have just one man when you never had just one man, because by the time you meet your husband, you would have had 10 to 15 to 20 men before him. So we've been socially engineered to think that this Western way of marriage is the right way. But if you actually thought about the way it used to be, you wouldn't have had no experience with any other man outside of your husband. And then that would have been a way for you to understand the singular concept of being one. You can't, how can you gonna try to be one with this man and you didn't have plenty of them before him? Your desire is you have different tastes. If he can't give you a taste of all of those, if he just so happened to can't give you all of what you've had, he ain't nothing but just another taste. It's almost impossible to satisfy one who have had that many. If I've had so many women, and then I'm gonna try to lock down you and try to make you out of these 50 women that I done had. you know what I mean, it's almost impossible for you to be 50 people. But we got this understanding that arranged marriages are bad and sad and boo boo boo, not understanding the concept behind it. It's just one person you're taking on a journey with, right? And then we think that this Western way of living is so great, but we're so bad at it because we don't understand that it's adversely against who we really are as black community and black people and African descendants. The sisterhood used to be great. Y'all wasn't studying no man. Y'all used to pick your own men. You know what I mean? You pick your own men. Y'all wasn't really necessarily studying a man. Man was like a bull to a bunch of cows. He just there to procreate and continue the sisterhood going. It wasn't that big of a deal. But now, because of the patriarchal mindset, man is the biggest thing going on. He got his foul, he can just go do whatever he want to, and y'all just sitting in the hayway, sitting in the back, talking about what dang, is it like this? Yeah, it's like this is because you're co-signing your own demise as a female. All of these religions is making you the second-rated situation. It's an equal thing. It's not a first or second, it's equal. In the Bible, it says that God made male and female, both alike. And only when they get to another part in the very same thing, he did it again and made two of them not alike. But we're not understanding that the first two were male and female energies. There were male and female aspects. All he did was just put those things into two different bodies. So what I'm saying is you got the male and female energy in each of us. A man has a male and female energy, and a woman has a male and female energy. And the true balance, the mod, is to be able to man balance out woman and woman balance out man.
Can you tell the story, like a brief story of Lilith?
Well, I mean, a lot of people know a little bit about Lilith. A lot of people don't know a lot about Lilith. Lilith was supposedly the first Eve. She was supposedly the first creation period. Lilith was the first creation period by some scholars. And this story of Lilith was that God created her first and then created Adam. And then supposedly that Adam, when the story of the apple and everything came up, Lilith was a very sufficient, let's just say a very sufficient and dominant creation. She did not believe that God made her second rate. She did not act as if she was second fiddle because she was created first. And because of that, when Adam came in, Adam thought that he was gonna go and tell Lilith to do this, that, and third, and Lilith wasn't hearing that. She was like, "Nah, he ain't told you to tell me nothing. He told both of us to do this. He told both of us to do this, that, and the third. He ain't necessarily told you to come tell me what to do." And that was supposed to have been, something so bad, and so to speak, they demonized Lilith and made Lilith out to be a demon. And almost in every text that you can Google up Lilith, you will see some kind of demonic image of her, of Lilith being evil. And then they also say that that was the black woman, right? So that's the whole concept of the black woman. She the Lilith, and this Eve is, the white version of that, and that what's make Eve so perfect and this, that, and the third. But understand that though, Lilith was self-sufficient in her own ways and did not feel any inferiority to Adam. Then that's totally different than what you've been taught. And therefore, that's why when I come to this type of video, even to a woman, this is foreign. And I'm gonna say this, and I say this to my wife a lot. This is the biggest compliment a man could ever give you, woman. It's to acknowledge the God in you as being the progenitor of life, reverencing your God, reverencing what you brought to the actual livelihood of humanity. The black woman herself, just in the African woman herself, is the mother of all creation. Of all creation. Now you talking about her being in a sisterhood that was kind of a thing where she could sync up with her ladies, and then they could be more powerful and more intuitive and more in depth. Well, now if women can sync up in their periods, and if they pray and do all these rituals, that they can go somewhere that man can't go, who you think was getting all of these heavenly revelations? In some texts, they say that the woman gives over to the soul of mankind. That whole story of the Garden of Eden was, you say that she bit the apple of good and evil, but that's symbolic of her putting in the soul of mankind the knowledge of good and evil. But you got to read, you got to know, you got to research. So right there, they saying that woman puts in the soul of mankind the knowledge of good and evil. She the reason why you know what's good and what's bad. And what I'm saying is that don't necessarily have to be a bad thing. This is her power. But someone who can give you that type of knowledge and understanding got to get it from somewhere. And her ability to tap in to the source itself is something that is very interesting that we need to see or find out about more about in the black community. Because if we have a treasure on our hands, then we ought to know about it. But what we can't keep doing is keep dismissing it, or keep dismissing the fact that we got it, or keep dismissing the fact that it's there. Because I'm telling you that if it is there, which I believe it to be, we have to now redirect our attention to our greatest asset. And it is the mother of our community. It is the black woman. And it is her power. It is her success that is relegated to our success. And I can't just keep repeating that too much here. The power of the woman in the black community. Stop disrespecting your mamas, your sisters, your aunties. Stop raping on these little girls. Stop molesting these little baby girls. Leave the female alone and do nothing but encourage, teach, do nothing but motivate and cultivate the energy source and keep the sisterhood alive. Continue to be around each other as friends and continue to sync up and continue to pray for us as your black people, that we get and gain the knowledge that is necessary, especially your black brothers, that we gain the knowledge necessary to continue to be great assets to who you are. That's where I'm at, and that's what I believe that should be happening. We got to get out of this competitive mindset. We do not have to be of this world because we're in it. I know that you think that we're the best thing smoking, man, woman. That's why you compete. But you got to understand that it's truly you, and that's why we want more than one. So you just got to understand that we're both seeing great things in each other. But first, we got to stop abusing, and we got to stop being unfaithful to the black woman, because she has the best qualities out of all creation. And if we nurture, as black men, her qualities, if we take on some attributes that mama showed us, a lot of brothers learn how to cook and learn how to clean and learn how to do some of these things that they're wooing their women with, they learned it from their mom. And so if you take that same understanding of what mama showed you, and you actually give the woman all of your feminine energy you can give her to support her feminine energy, right? You'll see what happens in return as far as your masculine energy is concerned. And not only that, you'll see the proper balance and to see the flourishing, the abundance that comes out of being balanced in that way. It's a benefit to the relationships, to the finances, to the generational wealth, to the education, and to the spiritual understanding of our people, to their emotional state. This is what we need. And we ask that you continue to disseminate the information to each other. Women, you need to learn this more than ever. You need to know about this about yourself. You don't just need to walk around here thinking you are the ish for no reason, but then actually have some substantial stuff to back up the reason why you are the ish. And not just because of your booty or because of your breast. Don't be so shallow. Be the ish because you know why you are the ish. Right? Anything you want to add before we close up, baby?
Um, basically just for everybody to just the message, the ending that you just gave, I mean, pretty much hit it on point. But for people to take that and utilize it, not just listening, oh, this is just another conversation and there you go. Knowing your power, knowing your abilities. We have abilities that we've never thought of. At my age now, the grand old age of 21 in my own mind, I have found creative things in me that I didn't even know that I could do. And I didn't know I could do them because I never tried to do them. But they came natural. You know, it's so many gifts that I myself have wasted in my own life that, you know, you never know where those things can take you. You know, even a gift of leadership, you know, I've learned in my life over time that I have the gift to, you can throw it at me and say, hey, can you present it? And I'm good. I don't have to sit and, oh my God, I'm afraid and blah, 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 doing it, which tells me that you have the ability to lead people and lead people to a place that they've never been led to before, just on just pure, you know, that being a part of me, that not being something that's learned, you know. And I see so many different females with those same capabilities that aren't even tapping into that. We've got to stop putting ourselves down, and we've got to stop letting other people tell us that our abilities are, say, satanic, or, you know, oh, they're so against God. Well, the reality of it is that, you know, if I got it in me, then obviously he put it there. You know what I'm saying? And we've just got to stop that. We've got to stop not using our mind. You know, our mind, they always say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, it is. And for a Black female, the mind is full of so much that it does waste. It wastes not only yourself, but it wastes other people's abilities and capabilities as well, because you can use your mind to push and shape the next person. What we pushing and shaping out right now is a lot of weak individuals who also don't know how to use their mind, their power, who don't know how to get back to how they're supposed to be. But it goes back to the same old saying that people always say. It's like each one teach one type scenario. Each female teach the next female, joining together, banding together. Back in the day, somebody was sick. Again, these wailing women, they wail those sicknesses out of somebody. You know, I remember when my sister was passing, it was women in her hospital room that were singing, you know, calling on God. You know, it's just something that we've always had the capability to do, but we've gotten so far from it that we don't even know. We don't even use our voice to help. All we do when somebody is sick or down, we just run to the doctor and try to get them a medication, which gives them an ailment or something else, but not tapping into our own spiritual side to be able to help that person. You know, we didn't have all these fancy fertilizers and things that you put on your gardens back in the old days. All grandmama and them had was they own mouth. My mama still be talking to plants and flowers like it ain't nothing. That is a power. That's not just something that we just should take for granted and laugh at. That is something serious that you actually talking to some flowers and these plants and flowers. I'm 39 years old. Some of them plants and flowers she got are well surpassed 40 years old and they are still growing strong. You know, you got people, talking to the sun. You got people meditating. You have all these different things that are causing so many positive things in people's lives. So at this point, I think that we've got to remember that. We've got to tap into ourselves. And it's not something that I understand it's not going to happen just in 5 minutes. But instead of saying what you can't do, work on doing is the bottom line. Don't say, oh, I can't, oh, I don't know. We know you don't know. That's the whole purpose of this forum. We know you ain't got no clue. But what you can do is be willing to tap into yourself, be willing to take the time to learn, be willing to take the time to meditate. Go on YouTube, go on Google, go on whatever, and just getting in touch with your spiritual side so that you can tap into that power that you have. Learn about your ancestors, learn about these kings and queens, and especially these queens and what they did. Learn about that. Learn about the Dahomey tribe, which was an all female army in Africa many, many moons ago. All female. It didn't have nothing to do with no male. This is all female army that expanded time for the longest and protected that land and protected their tribe and everything around it. Learn your people so that you can know your capabilities and what you have within you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, learn, continue to learn. Queen Nandi of the Zulu Nation. Um, it's just so many different people, man. One great quality about Queen Segment, Hatshepsut, is that they joined Egypt together after it had been broken up from all of the warriors. And so you just remember that, because that is actually the energy that I want to project back into our black women is the energy of Queen Setman. If you have any if you don't hear anything else, go Google her and try to embody her, having a warrior slash goddess mentality and having using those two things, the great warrior spirit in you and the great goddess spirit in you, to unify your people. It's been very, very lovely. We'll holler back at you again. We want to thank my wife for gracing us on the panel. Unfortunately, we didn't have the panelists come through today, but man, we appreciate all the support. You guys continue to follow the videos, continue to listen to the videos. If you do nothing else, like, share the videos. They're on Facebook, YouTube. So just continue to follow us, man. This is information that's gonna be out here. We don't do this for numbers. We do this for quality of information. So we gave you some quality information. And remember that the greatest thing about being a teacher is to show you something new. If we don't do that, then we haven't done anything at all. And like I said, we just wanted to uh, bring the spirit of segment up into our women, and we want to just promote them and motivate them to continue to be great warrior princesses and goddesses. And like I said, brothers, this is who they are, and this is who we need for them to be for us, right? And it's just time now that we have to acknowledge, we have to, reverence it, and we have to sit back and redefine um, what we can bring to the table to encourage and to protect Setmet so that she can do what she got to do to unify the people. Again, it's been lovely. Sure appreciate you. My name is SirRender. You can hit me at any time. We love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Peace.